Discipline is not a prison, it's a passageway. It is not there to trap your freedom, but to unleash it. People often misunderstand discipline as a form of restriction, as something that limits their enjoyment or hinders their spontaneity. But in truth, discipline is the unseen bridge that carries you from where you are now, your current reality, to where you were created to be, your divine destiny. Your divine destiny. You can have all the dreams in the world, all the vision boards, the goal-setting journals, the motivational playlists, but if you don't have discipline, none of it manifests. Myron Golden often emphasizes that you don't get what you want, you get what you are. And what you are is shaped by what you consistently do. That's the power of discipline. It molds your character, forms your habits, and eventually creates the environment that either supports or suffocates your destiny. Desire is necessary. It's the spark. It's the first stage of manifestation. But a spark alone doesn't build a fire. Discipline is the wood, the oxygen, the fuel that keeps the fire going long after motivation has faded. See, motivation is emotional. Discipline is spiritual. Motivation comes and goes like the tide. It's seasonal. It's affected by how you feel, what time of day it is, what someone said to you, or how much sleep you got. But discipline? Discipline is a decision anchored in identity. It doesn't care how you feel. It operates based on who you've decided to become. Most people live in the gap between desire and discipline. They say, I want to be great, but they don't want to sacrifice. They say, I want to be wealthy, but they don't want to manage what they already have. They want a better body, a better relationship, a deeper spiritual connection, but they keep falling in love with the idea of the outcome and avoiding the cost of the process. That gap is where dreams die. That gap is where potential withers. That gap is filled with excuses, procrastination, blame, and distractions. The only thing that can build a bridge over that gap is discipline. And the bridge must be built daily, brick by brick, action by action. The truth is, discipline is not something you're born with. It's not inherited. It's developed. You don't need to be the smartest, the fastest, or the most talented. You just have to be willing to do what others won't, consistently. That's the compound effect of discipline. Small, intentional actions over time yield extraordinary results. Think about how a tree grows. You don't plant a seed today and see a full-grown tree tomorrow. You can think about the seed today and see a full-grown tree tomorrow. But if you water that seed, expose it to sunlight, nurture the soil, and protect it from pests every single day, without fail, eventually it becomes something strong, rooted, and unshakable. That's how discipline works. It turns effort into excellence over time. Discipline also teaches you to delay gratification. And in a culture addicted to instant results, that makes you powerful. The ability to say no to what's easy now for what's eternal later gives you leverage in every area of life. Myron Golden teaches that wealthy people think long-term. Poor people think in terms of weekends. But people of discipline live with eternity in mind. They ask, will this choice serve my destiny? Not, will this make me feel good today? That's the mindset that separates dreamers from doers. You can't master your life until you master your moments. And every moment of your life is a micro decision, a vote for the person you are becoming. Let's go deeper. Discipline doesn't just create success, it protects it. A lot of people reach a level of achievement but don't have the internal integrity to sustain it. Why? Because success came faster than their character developed. Discipline builds the roots that support the fruit. Without it, elevation becomes dangerous When you build discipline, you are fortifying your foundation. You are ensuring that what God gives you, you are equipped to steward. It's not about getting more, it's about becoming more so you can hold more. Just like a container can only hold as much as its structure allows, your life can only carry as much success, influence, and abundance as your discipline allows. Another powerful truth is that discipline sets boundaries that protect your time, your energy, and your mental clarity. Without discipline, your life becomes open season to every distraction, social media, gossip, bad habits, unnecessary obligations. They all rob you when discipline doesn't guard your gates. It's not just about saying yes to good things. It's about saying no to everything that doesn't align with your assignment. And saying no is hard if you haven't trained your flesh to submit to your vision. That's what discipline is. Training your desires to obey your destiny. It's the inner governance that keeps you from self-sabotage. Discipline also reprograms your mind for excellence. Every time you do what you said you'd do, especially when you didn't feel like it, you send a message to your subconscious that you are trustworthy. You begin to believe in yourself not because of what you say, but because of what you consistently execute. Confidence is not built by compliments, it's built by keeping promises to yourself. Discipline is the ultimate self-respect. It's how you declare to the world, I take my life seriously, I take my calling seriously. I will not negotiate with mediocrity. Myron Golden would remind us that the difference between the average and the extraordinary is not talent, it's consistency. Discipline multiplies your capacity. You may start with little, but if you apply discipline to that little, it grows. Jesus said, he who is faithful with little will be ruler over much. That's a principle of discipline. If you can be disciplined when nobody is watching, God will trust you with visibility, influence, and impact when it matters. But if you can't govern yourself in private, you won't be qualified to lead in public. Discipline is also contagious. When you become a person of discipline, your environment changes. People notice. They're drawn to your integrity. Opportunities come. Favor flows. Not because you're lucky, but because you've become a magnet for manifestation. You've aligned your behavior with your belief. You've put systems around your spirit. That's where real momentum begins, not in motivation, but in mastery. And mastery is born from one thing, daily, deliberate discipline. Discipline begins at the decision level. It's not something you stumble into or acquire by accident. It is the direct result of intentional, repeated choices. Mastery over discipline is really mastery over decisions. Every time you act with discipline, what you're really doing is choosing. You're choosing to prioritize long-term growth over short-term comfort. You're choosing purpose over pleasure. And choosing to make the right choices, whatever choices you make, you're choosing purpose over pleasure. You're choosing to rise even when everything around you tells you to stay the same. And those choices don't happen in public. They happen in silence, in solitude, in the sacred space between stimulus and response. Myron Golden often says that success is a series of decisions, not a stroke of luck. If your life is the sum total of your decisions, then discipline is the strategy that ensures your decisions are moving you forward rather than holding you back. And then you say, I told you that I would find a time. It's important to understand that decisions shape your habits and habits shape your outcomes. Every single result in your life is the byproduct of a decision you made or refused to make. When someone sees a person with a great body, they're looking at thousands of small decisions made consistently. Early mornings, meal planning, avoiding temptation. Those didn't happen because the person felt motivated every day. They happened because that person made a decision and then refused to let their emotions override it. Discipline is what gives your decisions their strength and staying power. Without discipline, your decisions are weak. They get hijacked by convenience, laziness, fear, or external pressure. But with discipline, your decisions become like anchors, holding you steady even when the storms come. Too many people are waiting to feel inspired before they move, but inspiration is not a reliable partner. Emotions are temporary. They change with circumstances. You might feel motivated on Monday and discouraged by Thursday. If your decisions depend on how you feel, you'll never build momentum. The key to discipline is deciding once and then recommitting every day no matter what. You don't need to redecide your future every morning. What you need is to make one powerful decision and then live in alignment with it through your actions. That's what Myron Golden teaches. Wealth, health, purpose, and success all follow decisions that you honor with daily discipline. Every time you delay a decision, you delay your destiny. Indecision is a silent thief. It steals your time, your opportunities, and your energy. People think not deciding is neutral, but it's not. It's not. Not deciding is a decision in itself. It's a decision to remain stuck, to remain average, to remain afraid. And fear thrives where decisions are absent. When you take action, fear loses its grip. The more decisive you become, the more disciplined you become. And the more disciplined you become, the more confident you become. It's a beautiful cycle. Confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from proving to yourself that you will follow through. Every disciplined action is a declaration of self-trust. Discipline teaches your body and your mind to obey your spirit. That means you don't live by cravings. You live by conviction. Every day you're faced with a dozen crossroads. Should I scroll or should I study? Should I speak life or speak doubt? Should I stay in bed or go chase my calling? In those moments, you are training yourself. You're either reinforcing your power or reinforcing your excuses. And whichever one you feed becomes the dominant force in your life. Discipline is the inner conversation that says, I know what I want now, but I know what I want most, even more. That's decision making at the next level. One of the most dangerous beliefs you can have is thinking that small decisions don't matter. They do. They matter tremendously. The direction of your life doesn't shift with one massive leap. It shifts through small, repeated decisions that compound. Myron Golden teaches the principle of compounding obedience, that the small things, when done with excellence and consistency, produce exponential outcomes over time. One donut won't make you unhealthy, and one workout won't make you fit. But the pattern, that's where the transformation lives. That's where discipline reveals its power. It's not in the moment you decide, it's in the legacy that decision leaves behind. Now here's the reality. Discipline costs you something. It costs comfort, it costs ego, it costs ease. But indecision and lack of discipline cost you far more. They cost you peace of mind, they cost you clarity, they cost you opportunities. Every time you avoid the cost of discipline, you're racking up a debt of regret. And regret is far heavier than discipline ever will be. The disciplined person lives with the short-term discomfort of doing hard things. The undisciplined person lives with the long-term discomfort of knowing they could have done more, become more, lived more, but didn't. Making powerful decisions also requires clarity. You can't be disciplined about what you haven't clearly defined. That's why vague goals lead to vague results. If you say, I want to be better, that's not enough. Better how? Better when? Better according to what standard? Discipline is most effective when it's aimed at something concrete. That's why successful people set clear targets. They don't leave life to chance. They say, this is what I want. This is what it takes. And this is what I'll do every day to make it happen. Discipline needs direction, and decisions give it that direction. Another essential truth is that your environment either supports your decisions or sabotages them. Discipline is not just about willpower. It's about structure. If you're constantly in environments filled with distractions, temptations, and negativity, your discipline will erode. You must curate an environment that reinforces the decisions you've made. Surround yourself with people who hold you accountable. Set up systems that remove friction. Reduce your exposure to the things that pull you backward. That's not being controlling, that's being wise. Discipline is easier when your environment is aligned with your intention. Myron emphasizes that discipline is not about forcing yourself to be someone else. It's about aligning with your best self. That means your decisions aren't about denying yourself joy. They're about defining what joy really looks like. It might feel good in the moment to avoid the workout or the tough conversation or the early morning prayer. But how does it feel afterward? Contrast that with the feeling of following through, the pride, the peace, the clarity. Discipline isn't deprivation, it's devotion. It's you saying, I'm so committed to my calling that I refuse to settle for less than what I was created for. When you master decisions, you create momentum. And momentum creates miracles. When you consistently choose discipline, doors begin to open. People notice your reliability. Results begin to show. Confidence rises. Suddenly, what used to be hard becomes second nature. That's the compound effect of disciplined decisions. They move you from friction to flow, from resistance to rhythm, from effort to excellence. And once you step into that rhythm, everything around you begins to respond to the new standard you've set. You are one decision away from a completely different life. One choice to take yourself seriously. One commitment to break the cycle. One moment of courage to say, I'm done negotiating with excuses. And when that decision is backed by discipline, there's nothing, absolutely nothing that can stop you from becoming who you were destined to be. Most people think freedom is doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But real freedom doesn't work like that. Real freedom is the ability to do what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it, so that later you can enjoy what others can't. Discipline is the price you pay now for the freedom you want later. It's the currency you use to purchase your future, whether it's financial freedom, time freedom, emotional freedom, or spiritual freedom. It all has a cost. And that cost is discipline. You don't get to bypass that. You don't get to cheat the system. You either pay with discipline or you pay with regret. But either way, you're going to pay. Discipline is not a prison. It's a passport. It gives you access. It gives you permission to live a life others only dream about. Myron teaches that everything in life is governed by principles. And discipline is one of those universal principles. It's a law, not a suggestion. You can't violate the principle of discipline and expect to reap the rewards of diligence. You can't sow inconsistency and expect to harvest greatness. Discipline aligns your behavior with your belief. It is how you prove that you are serious about what you say you want. You want to start that business? You want to write that book? You want to become a better parent, a more focused leader, a more impactful person? That's great. But wanting isn't enough. Desire is only the beginning. The real test is, will you do the work, even when it's hard, boring, or inconvenient? Will you show up when nobody claps, when no one validates you, when no one even notices? Because that's when discipline kicks in. Discipline shows up when motivation checks out. And the people who succeed are the people who keep working after the emotion is gone. You can't live in alignment with your highest calling if you're enslaved by your feelings. Freedom doesn't come from comfort. Freedom comes from ownership. And ownership is born from discipline. Every time you do something you didn't feel like doing, but knew you needed to, you reclaim a piece of your power. You're training your flesh to follow your spirit. You're refusing to let temporary cravings control your eternal calling. And every time you obey that higher voice, your capacity increases, your faith increases, your clarity increases, because discipline removes the clutter and distractions that block your vision. Discipline also protects your momentum. When you start building momentum in any area, whether it's health, finances, relationships, or purpose, you need discipline to maintain it. Without discipline, you'll sabotage what you've built. You'll overspend, overeat, procrastinate, or become emotionally reactive. Discipline keeps you in alignment. It's the internal structure that sustains your external progress. Myron Golden often teaches that wealth is attracted to structure. God doesn't bless chaos, he blesses order. If your life is out of control, it's not because you lack time, it's because you lack discipline in how you manage it. Many people say they want freedom, but their daily decisions prove otherwise. They want financial freedom, but avoid budgeting, saving, or investing. They want time freedom, but spend hours on entertainment. They want mental freedom, but keep feeding their minds with junk. You have to work your way into it. With consistency, with delayed gratification, and with a commitment to long-term vision over short-term emotion. Discipline is not glamorous, it's not exciting, it's often repetitive and quiet, but it's powerful, it's transformative, it's liberating. One of the biggest lies people believe is that discipline limits enjoyment. That's not true. Discipline increases enjoyment. When you've worked for something, it means more. When you've earned your rest, it's sweeter. When you've sacrificed to build something, you take pride in it. You can't enjoy peace if you haven't sown discipline. Peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of structure. When you live with discipline, you sleep better, you speak better, you think better. You have more control, more confidence, and more courage to face challenges head on. Discipline also gives you authority. When people see that you can govern yourself, they trust you with more responsibility, more leadership, more impact. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. You can't expect doors to open when you can't even keep your own commitments. Myron Golden teaches that increase follows integrity. And integrity is built through the discipline of keeping your word to others and to yourself. When you consistently follow through, people respect you. More importantly, you begin to respect yourself. Discipline is the foundation of self-respect. Every time you say you'll do something and don't do it, you erode your confidence. You send a message to your subconscious that your word can't be trusted. But when you do what you said you'd do, even when it's hard, you start to rebuild that trust. You start to believe in yourself again. You walk differently. You speak differently. That's the kind of freedom that can't be bought with money. It's earned through obedience and consistency. We live in a culture that glorifies comfort. It tells you to do what feels good, chase ease, avoid pain. But ease is deceptive. It looks like freedom on the surface, but it traps you in mediocrity. Real freedom requires resistance. Just like building muscle requires weight, building character requires challenge. Discipline is your daily resistance training. It strengthens your will. It enlarges your capacity. It stretches your faith. And over time, what was once hard becomes your new standard. The difference between average and exceptional isn't talent. It's discipline. It's not about how gifted you are. It's about what you do with the gift. Talent without discipline is wasted potential. Vision without discipline is fantasy. Even calling without discipline is powerless. Your calling needs a container. Discipline is that container. It's the system that supports the promise. It's the behavior that honors the assignment. And the more you honor it, the more grace, favor, and doors begin to flow in your direction. Discipline also frees you from external validation. When you've done the work behind the scenes, you don't need applause. You don't need approval. You've already affirmed yourself through action. That's the quiet confidence of disciplined people. They know they've prepared, they've studied, they've sacrificed, they've practiced in private. So when the opportunity comes, they're not shaken. They're ready. Discipline eliminates fear because preparation builds faith. And let's not forget this. Discipline is a spiritual principle. The Bible says God is not the author of confusion, but of order. Even creation followed a disciplined process, step by step, day by day. If you want to co-create with God, you must align with his nature, and his nature is consistent. Discipline allows you to reflect his image, not just in what you believe, but in how you live. It's how you steward your time, your talent, your temple, and your treasure. It's how you say, I'm not living for now, I'm living for next. You were created for greatness, but greatness has a price. That price is discipline. It's not sexy, it's not loud, but it's always effective. It's the quiet force that turns vision into victory, calling into clarity, and dreams into dominion. Discipline doesn't take your freedom, it creates it.